So we are all being watched, every single one of us. By the way, just by show of hands using the hand raising function within the technology here, how many of you, by showing your hand being raised, would consider yourself a leader? How many of you are a leader? Go ahead and raise your hand. That's good. I hope we see every single hand being raised, because you are the only person that is going to lead your life, lead your career, and lead your destiny. Nobody's going to do that for you. All being watched, we are the only one that will be CEO, what I would say, CEO of our career, our lives, and our destiny. Don't get don't get paranoid with that big eyeball looking at you right there, but it's absolutely true. Every single one of us is being watched and thoroughly scrutinized at all times. Every shrug of your shoulder, every blink of your eye, we're all being watched. And the actions that we all choose to exhibit are sending signals to those around us, and it develops what we would call our personal brand, or your brand you. It's just the way others see you. It's your default brand. It's what others think about you when they see you, and it's based upon the historic experiences you have created with people around you over the years or over time. It's the congruency, leadership. It's not about your title. It's not about where you sit in your organization. It's not about how many people report to you. It's not about how big your office is. Leadership is primarily the congruence between what you say and what you do. It's about how you live your life and how you go about your work. We would say this is, I like to put it this way, and your team within NRC has shared this with us as well, and it's exactly spot on. Your video, what you do, must match and be consistent and congruent with what you say or your audio.
Smart people like to figure things out. How will we make something happen? What are the strategies and the tactics that we need to have in place to achieve what we need to achieve? And rather than creating urgency around those tactics and initiatives, they tend to get very detailed on those tactics and initiatives and push it out to the organization and expect that everybody is urgent around those specific
because it's so logical.
Old buddy Charles Darwin said it best when he had this to say about change. It's not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent, but those most responsive to change. This applies to individuals, to teams, to departments, to agencies, to corporations. And it's important that all of us understand that how critical it is to be able to adapt, to embrace change, to accept change, to grow, to innovate, and to be resilient through times of change. Individuals, organizations, and teams that are able to do that will continue to thrive and excel in what we call the new world of work. Some actually say that we are right now in a brawl with no rules. Things have changed dramatically over the last 10, 15, 20 years in the landscape out there throughout corporate America, as well as within entities like the NRC. It used to be that the big ate the small. We would say now it's the fast that eat the slow. Again, those that adapt to change, that embrace change, that grow, that innovate, continue to thrive and move forward in this new era of future work.
And biggest obstacle standing between them and the results they truly want is the behavior of other people. Changing your own behavior, easy or hard? Hard. Changing someone else's behavior, easy or hard? Even harder. What if they know there's something in it for their best interest? Still hard, right? How about changing the behavior of a whole lot of other people?
Type your answers into these questions in the chat function. Whose job is it on a football team to recover a fumbled football, like the one that is right there? Whose job is it? There you go, everyone. Now I'm going to play devil's advocate here for those of you that just responded. Why is it everyone's job? The responses are slowing down. There you go. Okay, so Sabrina said they are a team. Common goal from John. So, okay, I'm going to push back even more. So what? What does that mean? Same goal. There you go. We're getting closer, Julio. Same goal. Working together. There it is, Blake. Thank you. They want to win because every single member of that team is very clear on the result as to why they're there that day, to win the game. When a team of 53 players lines up on a sideline on a Sunday afternoon, not one of them is standing around saying, well, I'm not quite sure why we're here today. Every single person is crystal clear on the result that we have to achieve. That's how it should be within any team or organization. say number one, this gentleman right here, let's say he's a wide receiver. Go ahead and type in the response to this. As a wide receiver, what's my job description? As a wide receiver, there you go, catch the ball. Thank you, Alfred. So if I'm a wide receiver and there's a fumbled ball like that one there, do I stand around and say, oh man, we should have had our fumble recovery guy in? There is no fumble recovery position on a football team. You go above and beyond your job description and you jump on the ball because you're very clear on what the result is to win the game. It's the results that get people the clarity around the result that gets folks to go above and beyond their job description to voluntarily choose to pitch in and give discretionary performance to help us achieve what matters most.
So, John, there's great leaders who have audacious ideas, and a big key for them to allow those ideas to see them through fruition is to get people to buy in and see what they see.
They have to.
And a lot of that can't be done with the logic, because you don't have the logic behind what you're about to attempt to undertake. So what do you see? And for example, I'll give you a quick idea. When Steve Jobs recruited John Scullion to help with Apple, the story I heard, and it may not be true, was that do you want to spend the rest of your life selling sugar water, or do you want to make a dent in the universe? That appeals to the heart.
Oh, no question about it. I mean, if the idea is big enough, and you see this with the Apple, you see it with the Netscapes, you see it with lots and lots of these astonishing stories, there is no way to get people to buy in by showing them enough numbers, by showing them enough data. It just is, it won't, you can't make the logical case for something that's just over the top. Therefore, you have to find ways to talk about it. The Steve Jobs example is a great one that is appealing to something else that's deeper. I really believe that everybody down deep wants to be a hero, wants to do something.
The issue here, as a manager, supervisor, or leader in this room, when you look at that model, where do most managers, leaders, and supervisors focus? On the nevers. Don't do it. You're wasting your time. They're not going to change. And the more you focus on them, the more damage it does to your potentials and maybes and your models. Where's the opportunity in that model? It's the maybes. They're on the fence. That's the group that if you can get them to buy in, and if you move that bell shape just 5 degrees to the right, has exponential impact in any culture. You get some of those maybes to become models, man, you're going to accomplish some amazing things.
Examples like that exist today. Here's 3 well-known companies that are often talked about in this day and age. These used to be leading companies in their industries. They were emulated. Organizations wanted to benchmark these companies, and yet they no longer exist. The primary reasons, if you look and peel back the layers of the onion as to what the real issues were with these companies and why they failed, there's 6 primary reasons. We need to avoid these as individuals, as teams, as departments, and organizations, or we're in real jeopardy of becoming the next Blockbuster, the next Kodak, or the next Nokia. These organizations were short-term focused. They had too much of an inward focus, trying to tinker and get better at everything they did, which they did exceptionally well, but they didn't have enough of an external focus to constantly be looking for opportunities and possibilities, as well as challenges and potential hazards. They were very complacent and they clung to the status quo. They had too much of an emphasis on managing their organizations versus leading their organizations. And what we mean by that is the management side is really focused on handling, scheduling, budgeting, resourcing, those sorts of things. Leadership is about inspiring, visioning, engaging, motivating, strategizing. And in the most successful organizations, there's a 75% focus on leading and 25% on managing. Both are necessary, but we need to make sure, especially in this day and age, that there's a higher emphasis on leading. These organizations were mostly reactive instead of proactive and very much averse to risk.
Older woman, would it make any sense for me to say, Gail, you're nuts. It's not a young girl. I see an older woman. She's right there. You're just crazy. You're nuts. Would that do me any good? Would it make any sense for me to spend time and energy to convince Gail that she's wrong. No, not at all. What would make a lot more sense is for me to say, Gail, listen, I don't see the younger girl. I see an older woman. Can you help me see the younger girl? And once Gail allows me to see what she sees, how much more, now you can type this in, how much more of a reality have I seen if I'm open to Gail's perspective and allow her to help me see it? I see twice as much because I was open to the perspective of somebody else. We need to understand within our organizations that if we only see what you alone can see, you're not seeing all there is to see. If you go through life with the blinders on and you only see the world through your own lens, you're setting yourself up to fail. No one person, no matter how smart, how well educated, what your title is, no one person can see all there is to see. The only way to see a full reality is to be open to the perspectives of others, to talk openly and candidly, to ask for and offer feedback, to talk about the elephant in the room. A single perspective is the enemy of reality. If you have an important decision to make, seek an abundance of perspectives before you make your own decision, especially on your own.
Anytime the majority of your people behave a particular way, the majority of the time, the problem is not with the people. It's with the systems and the processes, and the leader has to own that. There are special causes. You may have some nevers. People are stupid, lazy, defiant, just refuse to buy in. But for the most part, if the majority, most of your people are behaving a particular way, the majority of the time, it's not the people. It's the processes and systems, and you as a leader better own it.
To them. As we observe highly accountable people and highly accountable organizations, we've seen 4 distinct best practices that consistently rise to the top. First of all, they recognize the totality of their realities. They're very good at making sure that they continually have great communication with those around them to understand what they're dealing with, what the opportunities and possibilities are, as well as hazards and potential challenges and roadblocks. No matter where they're at or what their circumstances are, even if somebody caused them to be in a tough situation, they will always completely accept ownership for whatever situation they're in and ultimately find a solution or create a solution or a path forward that will allow them to achieve what's important to them personally and professionally. And finally, they consistently follow through on those commitments. They'll exercise action. As you know, the first rats off the ship are the strongest swimmers. And what I mean by that is in many organizations, when there's that fear-based culture where there's a lot of stress and anxiety, though your top players, your best talent, your key talent can typically be the first to leave. And you don't want that to happen. The other downside of a burning platform is you're actually burning away your infrastructure. And once the platform's burned. Right. So when we focus on the positive and the possibilities, it's, people naturally come to work wanting to excel and do well. And we can give them clarity on what's the opportunity, not only for the organization, but how it's going to impact them personally, how it can benefit them, how it can make their lives better. People tend to really grasp onto that, and they will become I like to say that our work actually allows people to self-actualize.
What would you say? Go ahead and let's keep the chat function up and going. So let's see if we can get this question answered. What would you say is the difference, team, between activity and results? What is the difference between activity and results? A goal, Fred says achievement of the goal. Activity is something you do. Results are a tangible outcome. And that was, I missed the name. Okay, measured there. All great answers. So here, let me ask the team this. This is a simple question. Does all activity produce a result? I tricked you. You're all wrong. Everybody's typing in no. The answer is yes, because even if I do nothing, do I still get a result? You betcha you do. It's just not going to be the result you want. We tend to think of only the positive outcomes of the actions we choose to take. The reality is the results are the desired and undesired outcomes of the actions we choose to take. So again, if you do nothing, you're still going to get a result. It's just not the result you want. And the only reason we even bring up this topic about activity versus results is we want everybody on our team or in our department or in our agency to come to work every day focused on the results that are most important to the team. not just on being busy. Activity in and of itself will not necessarily produce desired results.
We would suggest that there are forces that have coalesced and come together, and these forces are gunning to take away your job as an individual. They're looking to displace your department, and they're coming to reinvent or destroy your industry. When you look at this seven-sided pincer movement, which is a term we coined to refer to this force, think about the impact ERP and SAP has had on the economy and certainly in the workforce. Hundreds of thousands of jobs eliminated over the past 10 to 20 years because of software. White-collar robots. Think about cash machines, ATM machines, lights-out warehousing, and the impact that has had upon employment and the economy. Globalization. Location no longer matters. There's an abundance of talent that's only a mouse click away. Outsourcing. Often better, faster, and cheaper. The internet has had dramatic impact, significant impact. Banking is necessary, banks are not. Shopping and retail is necessary, but malls and stores are not. On and on the list goes. Disruptive and destructive competition. Think about the impact Uber, Airbnb, Netflix, Amazon has had upon so many organizations and so many industries. And finally, artificial intelligence. And we're just at the precipice of the impact AI is going to have upon the economy worldwide. So what is our defense in this age of disruption? What can we do to ward off this seven-sided pincer movement? We believe there are 5 key elements that we need to be focused on and very cognizant of in order to accomplish that. The first of those 5 is generating lots of great ideas and flawlessly executing those ideas so that that propels us to a better place than where we are today. Implementing those ideas with speed, tapping into the talent that resides and is often left untapped within our organizations. How do we become very distinctive in what we would call a sea of sameness in today's economy? And how do we draw out the leadership capacity that's necessary from every single person within our organization? We would say that is the kryptonite to the seven-sided pincer movement.
Really be aware of and be cognizant of. We need to all, no matter what your title is or what your job description, we all need to view ourselves as leaders, because you are, in fact, the leader of your life, your career, and your destiny. Nobody's going to do that for you. And it's vitally important to understand that all of us, no matter what you do, what your role is within whatever organization you're part of, that we are all being watched and thoroughly scrutinized at all times. Everything that we do, everything that we say is being evaluated and scrutinized. From the shrug of your shoulder to the blink of your eye, we're being watched. And everything we do and the experiences we create for others around us is developing your own personal brand. We would say all of us have a default brand. It's just simply the way that other people see you. It's the way other folks view you. It's their perspective of you. What's the brand that comes to their mind when they think about you?
25 years, the 4 that are listed up on the slide in yellow are consistently the top choices of those that are asked to go through this exercise. And you'll see how closely you did come to what's listed up there. You have a lot of votes within this team that's on this call right now that link directly to the 4 that we have up there. So good job, group. Those are the 4 characteristics of the 20 that are most often wanted from folks that want to voluntarily choose to follow a leader that they admire. And when we look at these, throughout the rest of our time here today, we're going to focus on what the data has uncovered over the past 25 years, that over 100,000 case studies and what is it that exemplary leaders do that get people to voluntarily choose to follow them, boiled down to what we call the 5 practices of exemplary leadership. The first is model the way. The second is inspire a shared vision. The third, challenge the process. 4th, enabling others to act. And finally, encourage the heart. So we have modularized the rest of this presentation, and we'll give you a few tips and techniques and best practices for each of the 5 that you can put into play immediately to help you achieve the results that matter to you personally and professionally. One last thing I want to share with the group before we get into this is when you look at what has been determined, the skills that will prevail in what we are calling the new world of work, these are the skills. A lot of the things we've been trained on for the last 10, 20, 30 years, some of the things that we've been focused on, going to workshops and training to learn more, is kind of fading away. And if you look at the list that's up here, it's becoming increasingly more about the soft stuff. And the 5 practices of exemplary leadership directly correlate with all of the soft stuff that's going to be essential in the new world of work.